Hi, welcome to the Hersey House. I'm Jeremiah Hersey, and today we're going to be talking about merging queries. So I guess first let's start off with what merging queries means. Essentially, a query is a table inside of Power BI, and what we're going to do is we're going to take some columns from one table and put them in a different table. Now, in order to do this, in order to merge two tables together or merge queries together, you do have to have at least one key column. So I have a list of failed banks. I have the city that they closed in, the state abbreviation, and then the closing date. So what I want to do is I want to have an additional column that has all the state names listed in the row. So I want Kansas, Florida, West Virginia, New England. So I can try to use a column from example to do this. So if we go to add column and column from example. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to look at the state column. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to extract the state name from the state abbreviation. Okay, so I'm going to use column from example, and I'm going to show you why this does not work and why we're going to merge the queries. So let's say in here, I typed in Kansas. Okay, and then here, notice the IntelliSense not really working for me. I would have to go through and name all of these. It's picking up Kansas again because it's recognized that KS is Kansas based on my first example. But you can see the IntelliSense isn't really working because it has no reference on how to create these names, these state names. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a second query. So if you look on the left-hand side of the Power Query Editor, so we have two queries. We have my bank list, which has the name of the bank, the city, the state, and the closing date. And then the second query is basically the state name and whether it's a territory or a federal district, and then the abbreviation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically use a key column, which a key column is essentially the same column in both tables. My key column is the abbreviation column inside of this query. And in my bank list query, it is the ST column. Okay, so that is my key column. That is what I'm going to reference when merging my two tables together. All right, so what we're going to do, there's a couple different options. We can either merge the query as new, so we can create a third query, or we can just put in the state name into this table. So that's what I'm going to do. So from the Home tab, there's an option right here, Merge Queries. Okay, so I'm just going to merge into this table. So when you're merging, you have to choose what kind of join that you're going to use. Essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a left outer join. So it brings in all of the columns from this table. So it's going to pull in all of these and then only the matching rows from the second table. So in this table, I'm going to select my codes and abbreviations. Let me zoom in so you can see. So notice now, okay, all from first table, we have different join types. We have right outer join, which is taking the second table and anything matching from the first. All rows, full outer, only matching rows, full inner, and then the antis are the opposite of that. So what I want to do is I want to take all the columns from this first table and anything matching from the second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my key column. So my key column in this case is ST, that's the state, and the abbreviation column right here. This is just letting me know because I'm using web sources, it's just a privacy notice. So now that I've identified my key columns, okay, so you can have more than one, but you have to have at least one, okay? So this is my key column, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So what it's going to do is going to bring in bank name, city. I'm going to have the ST column, the closing date, and then I'll also additionally have the state and the status as well. So I'll show you how to do this. Let's go ahead and click OK. All right, so when you do this, you are going to get the associated columns put into your new table or query as a table. So you'll notice that this new column that was added, it's actually a table. So there's multiple items inside of this. So what we can do is we can expand it by clicking this button right here. We can select the columns we want to add to this query. We're going to click that. Now, because I already have the abbreviations, that's the ST column, I don't need my abbreviations brought in. All I need to bring in is the state and the status. Additionally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck this mark because it's going to go ahead and use the column name as a prefix anyway. So if I check this, it's going to have the table name dot the table name, and I'll have to fix it. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that part right there. So I'm going to click OK. And what you'll see is it now puts in the two columns from the other query into my table. Okay, so this one's still the same. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing different. But now my bankless query has two additional columns inside of it. So one thing that you also need to know when you're merging queries together, now that I have everything inside of this bankless query, I no longer need to load the information from my second query. So the reason is we don't want to load redundant information into Power BI. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click the query we're not using anymore and disable the load on it. Notice it puts it in italics, and it is not going to be loaded into the model. So then all I have to do is hit close and apply. And you'll notice my fields or columns pop up on the right-hand side. And notice I have those two additional columns inside of Power BI now, the state and the status. All right, well, I hope that helped kind of understand how to merge two tables together. Once again, there's a bunch of different merge types, and I'll put the link in to kind of go through and explore a little bit more of the different join types and how to use them. So that will be in the item description or the video description. So take a look at that. But essentially, all you need in order to merge two tables or two queries together is a key column. One column that is exactly the same in both tables. Once you have that key column, you then can add the additional columns into the new table. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.